now being recorded.
So good evening, this is the Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 meeting of the South Windsor Water Pollution Control Authority. We do have a quorum. Present we have Mr. Lyon, Mr. Murray, and Mr. Body, and myself, Steve Wagner. And now the first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the previous meetings. Our recording secretary sent out minutes online, and then there's a couple of corrections which she's handed out to you, very minor in nature.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from the November 8th meeting as amended by the revised minutes.
Okay.
Second that.
Seconded by Mr. Body. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, we have new business, 532 Deming Street, on approval to connect. Is there someone here to represent that application?
Yep. I am John Jakes from Jakes Construction. There's a building lot that we're presently constructing a new home on, and there's an existing sewer lateral on the property. And from what I can understand, the fees had been paid a long time ago. We're just looking to connect to it.
Yeah, I could provide a little background on the
Okay,
property.
so is that it for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so the property, the original lot was subdivided in 1992 into two lots. There's an existing home on the original lot, and then the one Mr. Jakes, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jakes wants to develop is a rear lot, so we'll call that lot 2. That's vacant at this time. He's proposing a 4-bedroom house, residential home on this property. There is a sewer lateral stub in front of the vacant property. However, the existing home is still serviced by septic, but they've paid their benefit assessment. So essentially, we still need to provide a lateral to that property. So my proposal would be to either have a vacant new construction home connect directly to the sewer line, or connect to the lateral stub that's in front of the vacant property, and then provide another stub to the existing property.
Mr. Why don't you go ahead and sit here, we can discuss it. It's a little more complicated than a typical connection situation. So, and I've seen the drawings. There's an existing home with a septic. The lot was subdivided, and there's a rear lot.
Correct.
How much frontage is on the rear from the road?
There's 50 feet.
50 feet, okay.
Yeah.
So typical with the driveway going back there and all,
Yeah.
okay. But the lateral that's there is actually in front of those 50 feet.
It's on the 50-foot right away, correct?
Okay. So, but in some way it's owned by the existing home.
Well, it was owned by the existing home before they subdivided. Once they subdivided,
You give up title?
it was given up to my lot.
Well, I guess, I mean, do you have documentation of that?
Well, the town, the only thing I have is what Bernie, the town inspector, and Michelle Light gave me.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
I mean, what did they give you?
Just paperwork showing that the assessment was paid in, way back when.
Mhm.
And Bernie has the location of the lateral and all the paperwork for it, so.
So to clarify, the assessment, I believe, what you're talking about is on the original lot. Is that correct, or your understanding?
Yeah, apparently the assessment was on the original lot
Before it was subdivided.
prior to subdivision.
Okay.
Correct. So our regulations read that when you subdivide a lot, that new lot is now, can be assessed as well.
Mhm.
So,
So we need to be assessed for one of these two lots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it strikes me that the folks with the septic tank, I don't know if they haven't come in with you, but they have an interest in that lateral that either they or the previous owner paid for. So,
I don't know if it was disclosed where the lateral was or what the position was with that.
Mr. Murray, you have a question?
Whose property is it on? Is it on your property?
It's on
with
my
your title?
property now. Yeah.
Sure, you know,
Yeah, according to Bernie's measurements, you know, we've been waiting to dig it up,
we had somebody,
obviously to go to this meeting first.
he had something from Denali here. Peter's not here?
No.
I noticed he's not here, it's quiet.
So,
So,
yeah, we got a drawing here, actually.
yes, yeah, I looked at it, yeah.
Unfortunately, when these things get printed, they get so small.
So the lateral's on the west side of the property. It is only, it's probably about 10 feet off the property line.
I mean, my inclination, I obviously want to approve your connection, okay?
Yeah.
Is to give you a condition to, either provide I mean, your intention is to connect to that lateral?
That's my intention. I mean, the house is already built, so that's kind of what we're planning on.
Okay. So, to either have an agreement with the property owner,
I believe it's 5:30.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
or make a separate connection, or and provide an easement to them to connect to that.
Well, they won't let you connect two homes on one lateral.
Right, so he would get an easement, they would get an easement to connect to that, and you provide another connection. It's one option, okay? Second option is that they inform the town that they're willing to give up their rights to that connection. And what's the third option?
Could connect to the lateral and then provide a lateral in
You
front
could
of.
provide another lateral for them,
530.
so.
Well, that lateral is off the road, so, I mean, you know, I don't feel like I should have to go dig into the road.
Well,
That's,
I mean, I guess maybe what we need you to do then is to come back with an understanding on paper, with that other property, okay? That would be one thing. The other thing is we could just give you three choices that you can work out in the future, so. I'm just a little concerned that, you know, that we're giving away something that we don't know we can give away, okay?
well, you can't give away something you don't have. I mean, that's, the sewer lateral's on my property, so.
No, it's on town property. It goes up to the property.
No, it's on
line.
my property. It's within the 50-foot right-of-way into the property. There's a lateral stub into
Yeah.
the property.
Where does it end?
It ends just over the line.
No, but it ends on, I mean, it starts on town, on the road.
Starts in the road.
Typically, they go to the property line plus or minus a foot or two.
Yeah, well, that's what they did, so I think they're,
So it's not really, I mean, most of it is on town property, and right now, in our records, it's owned by the other house.
right. So somewhere, somebody missed this whole sewer lateral thing when there was, you know, the approval to begin with, to subdivide the
Right.
property.
Yeah.
That was done in 1992, which I had nothing to do with it. I just purchased the property this year.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess my problem is I don't think we can just say, okay, go ahead and use that lateral when it technically was paid for by the owner of the other property.
Who doesn't own the property anymore?
Well, I
Somebody
mean,
who
they
owns it.
inherited.
Yeah, somebody, there's a new
Oh,
owner.
no,
Right,
the
I
new
mean,
one owns it.
they acquired the rights of the previous owner when
They
it comes to
stepped in
things
his
like
shoes.
this. So, in theory, they have a right to use that lateral. It may not be the best thing for them, but, we need to work that out. Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't know that, in my mind, it's not clear to me that they would have the right to use that lateral. It's no longer under their property.
It's not under anybody's property, it's under town property. It goes to the property line.
Well, with the benefit assessment, the original property paid for that lateral. to have
I get it,
access
I
to
get it, I
Yeah.
get it, I get it. But then they sold off the property where that lateral exists even though it's only 1 foot or so, they sold off that property. To my mind, that,
Usually
whether
when
they
you
were,
buy
whether
property,
they,
it's
whether it was an
whatever's on
oversight
it.
or not, they sold off that property, and in my mind, they sold off the right to use that. It's no longer under the
Did they own it?
footprint of the property.
Did they own that lateral?
No,
Well, they
nobody else.
paid the assessment.
The town owns, you know, the original
Yeah.
landowner
So they
paid
don't-
the assessment.
Yeah.
Assessment, but doesn't own it, this assessment.
Right, but the
use it.
original owner sold me the property,
Mhm.
and they're the one that paid the original assessment on there.
So
So I don't feel it's
Yeah.
up to me to
Right.
have to, you know, foot the bill for their lateral because somebody down the line, you know, missed it.
Let me ask you a question. So Tony, so that house is currently on a sewer. That's a septic system, I
yep.
mean, I'm sorry. So if, I'm sorry,
And the
I
house
lost
doesn't
I lost
use
my
it.
train of thought, sorry.
Yeah, the
When
house
the
is,
septic system fails, you know, are they gonna come to the town and say, hey, we paid for this lateral? And we say, no.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah. No, that now went to your next door neighbor, but we don't have any legal basis for saying that, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, well, they paid their benefit assessment, so they,
the previous owner.
the
paid
previous
benefit.
owner,
Yeah.
so the property is supposed to have access to a lateral to connect to the sewer line.
so if that homeowner comes to you, you're saying the expectation is they have a right to connect, it's already been paid for.
It's been paid for, yeah.
Okay, so you guys both can't own that same thing.
Right,
You
but
know-
it's on my property,
So what happens?
so.
I get that part. I
Yeah.
get that part. I'm just not sure how critical that is in the bigger picture here,
Tony,
where it physically lays. Since the town really owns it,
right, he never paid for it.
I get it. I'm just not sure that's the critical fact.
So somebody's gonna want, at some point in the future, when that septic system fails, somebody's gonna want another connection to the sewer.
Of course.
So what happens,
Who's gonna
Tony,
pay for that?
if you have a road, we run the sewer and it's in front of a vacant lot with no home, is the assessment just placed on the homes or are they placed on the lots and the homes?
On the land.
Yeah, so the way we do it now,
Good question.
yeah, it goes to the lot if there's a potential to subdivide.
Yeah.
We did this with one of our more recent sewer extensions a few years back. There was some knowledge or some talk that one of the properties was gonna be subdivided at some point. That happened several years later, not too long ago, it was subdivided, but in that case, we provided 2 laterals to that one lot for the potential of subdivision.
On Miller Road,
That
Right.
was on Miller Road, I'm
Yeah.
not,
I bought the lot.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're, okay.
That was me.
So you're familiar with it?
Yeah.
No, this one happened in '92.
Wasn't taken into
Yeah, I can't
consideration.
speak to
Yeah.
anything back in 1992, so.
'Cause it does seem to me like that assessment was placed on the home, not the potential lot that might be subdivided in the future.
It's on the land, the owner of the land.
Yeah, I see
So,
both sides.
when and if that septic system fails and they wanna connect, what are their rights if you take over the lateral and what are their rights if you don't? Okay, so, that's why I think we need to come back with,
Yeah.
I don't know, either an opinion from the town attorney or.
It's a title issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Or.
It seems like it could be a title issue,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
title issue.
Or work with the neighbor.
Mhm.
Are you on pretty good terms with them or?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so work with them. I mean, one thing they could ask for is an easement over to that lateral, which would be, you know, however much land it takes to cut across.
yeah.
So I guess I'd just like to know where we are before we approve this, okay?
Right,
Okay. By the way, I like your t-shirt. Did you ski at Alta?
yes.
It's been 4 years since I've been out there, but
2 years
planning to
ago.
go back this year.
Yeah, beautiful.
But when we do sort this out, I think our expectation is we need to be paid for another impact assessment. Somebody needs to.
Only if they wanna connect. I mean, if the people with the septic tank don't wanna pay an assessment, they can give it to him and they get, when their septic system fails, they have to pay for an assessment.
Well, but that's why we need the opinion,
What's the
because
assessment cost?
Hmm?
What's
it's,
the assessment cost?
For your particular property, it was $7,050 for the benefit assessment.
Yeah.
And then the capacity charge was $3,572.
That was the original,
No, this is for the new,
okay. If he gets a new connection.
connection, correct.
And it isn't, I mean, he just mentioned something that I would never have thought of, but you can't connect two houses to the same lateral, there's not enough diameter there? Okay,
No, we don't permit that.
okay.
What's your timeline? I mean, I'm sure you
Well,
wanna connect.
Because of the weather
soon.
right now, it's crucial to
Right.
get it done
Yeah.
as soon as possible. And, you know, trying not to dig in the road this time of the year is good.
You don't have any
Paving companies are closing down.
Can't get any asphalt, right?
I get that, yeah.
So that's, you know,
Mhm.
our intention was to hopefully, you know, connect and get going, cause right now we're in a big mud hole and I'm trying to get the driveway kind of established.
So, I mean, I guess the other choice would be for us to approve it with a condition that this get resolved one way or the other. I mean, either you decide to build another lateral, I guess your problem is that it's already too late to dig up the street, right?
Right, and I mean, for me to do a lateral now, what good is that gonna do anybody?
I would say the cleanest way would be to connect your property to the existing lateral and then provide a new lateral in front of number 530.
It should be, yeah, it should be in front of their
And-
property.
Just due to the seasonal timeframes, make it a condition that it's done,
Hmm.
you know, spring by
Does that work for you?
May or June.
As we approve it now,
Yeah,
allow you to connect to the existing lateral with a condition that you provide a lateral next spring to the other house.
and then who pays the assessment and stuff for that?
Well, you'd have to pay the assessment, you're the new guy on the block.
I'm paying it for my lateral, but I wouldn't pay it for theirs. Who would pay for theirs?
No, it would just be that one would, in a roundabout way, already be paid for. So as long as the lateral would be provided to the property, then it would just be provided and that would be the end of
Who'd
it.
pay for the new lateral's assessment?
So the new property would fall under these guidelines here.
Mhm.
So you pay the benefit assessment, capacity charge, connection
Right.
charge as a new lot.
Mhm.
Use the existing lateral with a condition to provide a new lateral in the springtime or when the asphalt plant's open.
Kinda swapping
To the
laterals.
existing.
And pay, so.
Yeah, that
so-
doesn't
so-
make sense,
so-
because for me to dig out in the road, it's gonna be like $25,000 to dig out there, it's not 7,000. You know, that just doesn't make sense.
Okay, yeah,
It just,
I think
it's,
that would be the cleanest way because the original property has already purchased, so to speak, a lateral to service their home.
I mean, yeah, they purchased a lateral and had it built.
but the owners subdivided it and got rid of that lateral, so they sold that off. So,
Yeah, we don't know that wasn't factored into the purchase price of that property,
Right.
that may have,
That's a title search.
yeah. That's why, I mean, when you said you thought it needed to go maybe to the town lawyer, that seems like a good thought. This does not seem simple at all to me.
Yeah, I guess I'm reluctant, not being a lawyer and not being the town attorney, to resolve that issue.
I mean, your fastest path, honestly, I think would be to get that homeowner to agree, but I guess that would mean you'd have to talk them into understanding that they would owe roughly 10 grand someday in the future when they wanna connect.
And the cost of digging.
So
it
that
in
needs
the
to be
road.
disclosed. I mean, it's gonna be a difficult conversation. right?
Short one.
Yeah, well, if they don't
Or
do it for
they're-
10 grand, for 10 years, it's probably gonna be 20 grand by then,
whatever.
the way things are nowadays.
Um,
How do they come up with the assessment? Is it so
It's-
much per foot?
Yeah,
frontage?
so that's voted on every year, and approved by the WPCA, and we use minimum frontage for whatever zone you're in, so I think this is an AA 30,
Yeah,
so it's 150 feet minimum frontage
okay,
for a house, and then it's $47 per foot.
So it's a formula.
I mean, in a way, that homeowner's giving up not only the cost of digging up the road, but also the assessment.
Oh, that's a good point.
Okay, if they let you, and then the question is, do they have a right to that lateral, which is your point, okay?
right.
So I think we need to know,
Well, I shouldn't have to pay for an assessment and provide a lateral, because now it's, we're over $30,000.
well, I think that's what we need to know, is what is the actual ownership and rights to that lateral?
It's a title issue, it's a pure title issue.
It seems like
You
it.
know, be no farm boy, trust me, it's a title issue, believe me, been to court a few times.
Seems like it.
Right, when he purchased that lot, did it include the lateral or
Yeah,
not? That's the
yeah.
question.
So I don't know how to resolve that question. Either you have your attorney tell us something, or town attorney.
Yeah.
And I'd want that other homeowner to be involved in the discussion.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I can file for an opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it is certainly a unique situation.
Yeah.
So when is the next meeting? I mean, again, it's crucial time of the year, and we're trying to
I
get
understand.
this done.
Well, we have a
January
Jan-
16th,
January 13th, I think.
13th.
Yeah.
January?
Yeah.
Jeez, I can't wait that long.
Well,
No,
you know,
January 16th.
there was a proposal that we could try to do some sort of, we could pass possibly some conditional thing here tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe if we can figure out wording that would cover it.
So it does seem to make sense to hook up to the lateral, that's right on the property, right? To me, that seems pretty.
physically,
Yeah,
that's,
it's
physically,
just
that's the
really a-
right thing to do, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The question is the ownership rights and what rights,
yeah,
Because we have all the other utilities on the other side of the driveway, and my sewer has to go where that one is.
Mhm.
So it's just the way it was designed, that's the way it's being constructed. And we already have the electric and the water's going in tomorrow, so it's just. It's kinda late to start moving things around.
So we can, yeah, I mean, I can definitely get a legal opinion. I know you're kind of up against the clock here.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna call my attorney tomorrow also, cause I wanna, make sure that.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we do have the, I mean, there is a possibility of doing a special meeting for you.
I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
if you get that resolved and, within a week or so, okay?
Yeah.
Or two, okay? I know I'm leaving town on probably the 19th. So, we got people traveling for Christmas and everything, but we might be able to squeeze in a special meeting if it's urgent for you.
I mean, I'd be willing to go the route if I could hook it up and then, like you said, maybe word it so that we get it resolved,
We don't have
while
that
we're working on it.
we don't have that legal authority, I don't think.
I don't,
Cause either way, they're
If that
gonna,
if that other owner comes back and says, no, I'm sorry, you gotta build me a
Sue you.
lateral.
We'll sue you,
yeah,
first move we make. You, the town, son.
well, I guess I can contact my attorney tomorrow.
Mhm.
And then we can kinda take it from there, I guess.
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, I can put in a
all right.
legal request as well
Mhm.
on our end. Do we need a motion for
I
that?
don't think we need a motion.
Okay.
We're not doing anything.
Okay.
But we have an understanding, I think. We're gonna try to get this resolved before we act. All right, thank you. I'm sorry we couldn't, I mean, normally these things are like Okay.
So-
Pass it.
That's what I was hoping.
So what's the record gonna reflect on this new business then, that we,
It'll just reflect
Taking
we
no
had a
action?
discussion,
okay,
Further discussion, I guess, right?
and we assigned the town.
And honestly, the way I feel is, it shouldn't be up to either party to have to pay for this. I think the town, when they approved it, there was an issue and they didn't catch it.
It's interesting, it'd be interesting to look at the minutes of that subdivision approval by PZC. Would you do that also, or take that up?
We
You're
could look
usually
at the
smarter
minutes.
than that.
We
okay,
saw,
at least when I've been involved.
yeah,
was it?
just the
it was
approval letter.
93, I think, right?
What's that?
93 was the subdivision?
92.
92.
Yeah, so, yeah, we could probably find that. Yeah, just part of the, planning and zoning approval letter just said WPCA approval is needed for the new lot.
Mhm.
When it's
So did they come to us?
No, he's here tonight for that reason.
But
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yep.
So back in 90, whatever, they said, this is approved, but you gotta go to WPCA. Nobody went to WPCA until now.
Right.
Okay.
In the meantime, the owner sold the property and
Yeah, okay.
created a conundrum.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Sorry about
I think
that.
that's the best we can do for tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
But like I said, I'm willing to hold I'll participate in a special meeting if it's necessary. I get
Maybe
the
it's a
urgency.
simple answer for the lawyers, be like, to your point, oh, it's
Yeah, it should
his
be,
property, or it's, yeah,
What's the best way to communicate? Through email or?
Talk to him.
Yeah, through me, I'm Tony Man, I'm the superintendent, Tony
Yep.
Manfrey, so,
Yep.
yeah,
All right,
we
perfect.
can chat, I'll put in the legal request and, you talk to your people and we'll
Yep.
send over all the documents and try to get this squared away.
Sounds good.
at the end of the day, we have to have a path that gets us paid for 2 assessments,
Only, I
one for
mean,
each property.
the people with the
Well,
septic tank,
If and when they connect, yeah,
if they don't wanna connect, then,
yeah.
I guess we still need an assessment though, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So we
Is-
need, regardless of whether anybody builds a lateral, we need another assessment, cause we
yeah,
got a
the
new
existing
lot.
home is already paid for,
Mhm.
now we have the new lot that would all,
Okay. So regardless of what else happens, you're gonna be hit with an assessment for your new lot, okay?
Mhm.
All right, okay. All right, it's item D1, the superintendent report.
So with the Pleasant Valley, prior to the Pleasant Valley Road Bridge construction, our team went through and just inspected some of the pipes that were gonna be in the construction zone. We did find an 8-inch pipe that had a break in it. So fortunately, there was a 10-inch pipe nearby that we were able to connect to while we came up with devised a solution. So we're currently working on that, but as of right now, that 8-inch, or that section of 8-inch, that's being diverted at this point. So we're looking into lining solutions or pipe bursting technology. So we should have that pretty much squared away in the next month or two. The treatment plant update as of October, the process control, our BOD TSS removal is 98%. Our flow for the month was 3.3 million gallons per day. Our nitrogen discharge was 106 pounds per day and 3.9 milligrams per liter. Our maintenance team, they were working on shutting down the UV system.
Before you go on, I look at a table like this, and I've seen them for many years now, but the thing is, you never really know what the standard is, what are we being measured against? So I'm wondering if we could add a column
Sure,
that would be like the maximum or the state maximum
okay.
the next time you.
Well, it's in the super fine print for the nitrogen. We have a 106 pound limit.
Okay,
It's our permit, but
So
yeah,
which,
what about the BOD and the TSS? I mean, is 98.6 good, or?
It's 85% is what's required for our permit, 85% removal for full
So
I guess what I'm saying is, let's put,
you're saying benchmarks, put benchmarks in.
what are the benchmarks in?
Yeah, let's put a benchmark
Just
in.
another
over.
column.
They're more than benchmarks, they're legal limits, right?
yeah.
permit limits,
sort of
yeah.
Limit, whatever the
Yeah.
right word is.
But it just needs to go right next to the description.
Yeah, I'll just,
Yeah,
that's easy enough.
And then you can reduce the font to another.
Make it smaller so nobody can read
You
it.
know, we all get issued magnifying glasses or telescopic lenses.
it's a good point about the limits though, Steve, really.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
sorry about
It's
that.
a average for the year or something, right? Didn't you
Yeah, I keep
explain you
a-
can go over in a single month as long as you're not over?
Yeah, there's certain
Summertime, they go
parameters
nuts.
that we meet, so, yeah.
For the nitrogen, it's on an average. If we went over, I think for the month, if we went over on the percent removal for BOD or TSS,
Mhm.
I think there'd be a violation there, but the nitrogen is a rolling average.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, no, sorry, just making a quick note. Alright. Oh, so our maintenance team, yes, we shut down the UV system for the season, completed restoration of the cake base siding, and we're estimating cost savings from subcontracting that out, of $10,000. The team also repaired the clarifier collector arms, which were showing signs of rot. Completed the inoxy tank maintenance. Swapped out the blower core number 1 for diagnostics. Performed maintenance on aeration basin 1. Repaired the odor control fan disconnect switch. Our collection systems team inspected 888 feet of pipe. Cleaned 1,800 feet of pipe. Exercised the pump station bypass valves. Installed new surge protection at the Quarry Brook pump station. Our call-outs for this month at the treatment plant, we had 2. Pump station 0, blockages 0, call before you digs 0, and odor complaints were 0. Capital improvement project updates for the pump stations. Final design review is being completed by Arcadis, and I'm expecting to get that this week. We'll do an internal review, and then we'll submit that to DEP for their review and approval so that we can move on with the clean water funding. The Army Corps permit for Pleasant Valley Pump Station was also submitted on November 21st, so we're moving forward with that. The aeration weir gates, that project is coming to a close. The gates are installed. We're doing some final inspections, and then we have one more concrete padding to pour in the spillway. Our odor control, I'm still working with Deep to get an agreement in place. This is for the grant money. We had issues with the name on the insurance was Town of South Windsor, and the grant was given to Town of South Windsor Water Pollution Control Authority, so they didn't match up, so their legal team denied it, so now we have to go back to change the grant being awarded to Town of South Windsor.
Who denied it?
The Deep's legal team,
Oh.
because the names didn't match.
Do we have
They-
to
they
read
cou- they
that
couldn't
thing
figure it
again?
out? Not too tricky, but.
I hope not.
With the new name in it?
I'm hoping this is just a simple swap so that the insurance that we're covered under is Town of South Windsor, and that matches with the grant.
Can we help you with a motion that would just guarantee or try to guarantee that's not an issue?
I will,
I mean, right
I'm
now,
hoping this should be that simple,
You're
and we
dealing
don't
with,
have to do it again.
because you're dealing with a group, you know,
Yeah,
they can't do 2-car funerals, so believe me, you know.
yeah, so we're,
I'm thinking, let's not lose another month.
yeah,
You want the money.
yeah, I mean, we're still in,
If we could make a motion that would amend the previously read, whatever the thing is called,
okay,
to say Town of South Windsor Water Pollution Control Authority.
It does say that in the resolution.
It does?
It does, it says Town of South,
oh, you have it.
yeah, it says is authorized, the town manager is authorized to execute and deliver all documents on behalf of the Town of South Windsor Water Pollution Control Authority.
So it's only your insurance that has to be fixed.
Right,
They can waive that. They can-
Okay, great.
so we should be,
Okay.
should be in good shape once that change is made, but, so I'm working on it, we're just waiting to get that
All right, thanks.
fixed, and then hopefully we can get approval and get the contract executed.
Wow.
Our sanitary sewer evaluation system or study, we've negotiated the scope and fees. We submitted that to DEEP for review as well. And with their approval, we're also applying for Clean Water Fund grants. So that's why we have to involve them. They have to look the contract over, approve everything, and then we can begin the application process.
This one would not be affected by the name issue?
I'm gonna be aware of it now, so this is the first time the town insurance that we're covered under has ever come up with any project that I've seen, so when they denied it, I was a little shocked,
Stunned, yeah.
so.
All right.
But it's something I'm aware of, and I'll make sure I's are dotted and T's are crossed, so.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hope we don't find out we're not insured.
Yeah.
We're under the town's insurance, it's
Okay.
just, like any other committee,
It's a net. Yeah.
Or maybe they just need a rider that says it includes, you know.
all the town committees are, it was just a grant was awarded to Water Pollution Control Authority,
Okay.
not Town of South Windsor, so. Yeah, so we'll get it figured out. The ARPA, the phase 4, we're performing the final CCTV inspections before releasing retainage, which can be released as soon as we're satisfied with everything.
What does it mean to release the project retainage?
So we hold retainage for 1 year, which is typically 5% of the project value. And that just ensures that it's incentive for the contractor to come back if we find issues or we're not happy with the work.
Oh,
So we're basically giving that back to the state because we didn't need it. Is that what that says?
No, it's a
You give it to the
That's the
contractor.
contractor's money.
So if we're happy with their work
Mhm.
and the product, then we write them, they request a check back and then we give it to
Okay.
them.
yeah, it's a holdback to give a little leverage.
Yeah.
So this says
You follow
release
the
it in
code, so they
November.
put it in.
Who has to act to release it? Anybody?
Yeah, the contractor will make the request to
Okay,
receive the
then we'll
retainage.
vote on that?
No, then that's just part of the project and we approve the,
They have to come back and inspect the
Like
sewer
an-
lines. They're
The
gonna come
town
back and
treasurer or
handle
something
them,
actually
And
pays
then
it.
we'll review it and
Yeah.
make sure that
Fine.
everything is still in good order and that nothing is in disrepair after the year before we release.
But I mean, the
money.
staff can handle this release without coming to us.
correct.
Yes, we'll just need to make sure everything's
And the
as it's
town's
supposed to.
For the UV disinfection, I don't have anything new to report for this month. The design is basically complete. We're still working with Eversource on some of the grants they offer for it. Clark Street, again, that project's been completed and we're anticipating final retainage to be released in December.
So while we're talking about Clark Street, I left you a voicemail, but I'll just make it official. The Planning and Zoning Commission wants to get a reading for, they're concerned about approving projects on the Clark Street line that might overload that pump station. And they would like to have a reading from you on two things. One is, where do we stand now? How much capacity do we have? You know, I'm not talking about normal, but, you know, peak capacity. And then we're making some improvements to the whole system there. What will we have when those are completed, and when will they be completed?
Mhm.
And I need that for the next meeting, which is a week from today,
Okay.
okay?
Oh, I thought you needed that for the January meeting. Okay.
No.
All right. Yeah, I can get you the capacity numbers. We did that with our 2019 pump station study.
Okay.
So I do have those available.
Mhm.
As far as what we're gonna be able to reduce, we're not gonna know until late spring,
Okay.
once we get our evaluation study for the Clark
Just give us a
Street.
memo that
But yeah,
states whatever you
Okay.
have. Yeah.
I thought you needed that for the January combined meeting, so, okay. Get that to you.
All right, we got a report on collections.
Alright. Yes, collector of revenue. For the grand list 23 on the commercial side, we're at 86.04% collected. And the residential side is 92.04%. The reason for the commercial for being so low is one of the delinquent accounts is extremely large. She's currently working with the town attorney to recover the delinquency.
Who's that? Who is it?
50 Talbot Lane,
Who is it?
Carlos, or CP Foods,
It used to be Carlos Pasta.
used to be Carlos
Is
Pasta.
it, is it in bankruptcy court or the new owners?
I'm not sure, I don't know, but they have they owe $261,000. Out of the 267 that's outstanding at this point, so she's working with the town attorney to recover that.
Mhm.
Also, on the commercial side, 4 alias tax warrants were renewed. And the residential side, 696 liens were filed with the town clerk on December 1st, and that compares to 700 filed last year.
What is an alias tax warrant?
That is an outstanding delinquency that isn't owed, so they get notified that a bill is owed, and then if they don't pay it, then that means that the property is gonna be liened.
All right, anything else? Anybody have any questions for our superintendent? In that case, we're done with item B1. We have a draft to the WPCA annual report to the town of South Windsor, or has that already gone in?
Yeah, this has gone in, I just wanted to share it with the authority. So this is something we provide to the town every year that goes into the annual report. And this year's report highlighted, the WPCA prioritizing capital expenditures to prevent significant interruptions to service. The ARPA projects that were completed over the past year, and that included Clark Street bypass valve, the Phase 4 sewer lining and manhole work, and then also the UV disinfection design was completed. And we also highlighted some of the capital improvement projects, including the pump station upgrade with clean water fund status, odor control improvements, the budget overview, WPCA actions, so it kind of just listed the approvals, the number of approvals that were approved, and also the qualified income discount program stats.
We can get a little confusing reading these things. This is about the fiscal year that just ended, so it doesn't have anything about the rates for this fiscal year or whatever. So you look at some of these numbers and, well, that's not what we approved.
Right,
But
yeah,
what
it's
we
a year
approved
in review.
A year and a half ago.
Yep. Yep.
So do we have any comments or questions? In which case, we can move on to public participation, and ma'am, it's your turn. If you'd come up here and identify yourself.
I have 2 issues. I'm Suzanne Seha. I live
Let me just see, did you sign in?
yes, I did.
So you're Suzanne Saya?
Seha.
Sia,
Yeah.
okay.
I live on Foster Street Extension, and I frequent the dog park.
Mhm.
And my dog ended up getting a parasite. It was wet there. The ground isn't level, and puddling is where this parasite supposedly lives.
In the dog park?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the only thing I can come up with,
Mhm.
because he's new to me.
Mhm.
He's a larger dog than I'm used to, and he needs to run, and that's perfect there.
Mhm.
Well, since that happened, I'm getting an electric fence in my yard, and I'm not going to that dog park anymore. Because he's also got a rash in his groin area, which I think caused an issue with the wrestling with other dogs. He's really a fun dog. But that's beside the point. I'm just curious about the cleaning procedure. When I was there one day, they were cleaning leaves. But is there any disinfecting that goes on at that park, do you know?
I'm not sure,
'Cause this,
Parks and
this,
Recreation maintains it.
okay, that would
Yeah,
be,
you may have come to the wrong organization, because
well, I just happened to think of that just because of the water pollution control, but my main,
another name for us would be the Sewer Commission.
Yeah.
We used to be called the Sewer Commission.
that's exactly one of the main reasons I'm here. I just thought I'd bring that up right now. But my main issue is the increase in the sewer user fees. And I'm one person, and I find that it's outrageous that we're all paying the same amount.
Yeah.
Are we? Why can't we do the pay per usage?
You know,
Meter in each
the
house.
authority has actually.
Yeah, that's what they did in Windsor Locks, and Windsor Locks is a dinky little town. I lived there, and it fluctuated, but it fluctuated on what you used for water. It doesn't seem fair that I'm paying the same amount of money that somebody that has.
How much do those meters cost? I mean, that's
I
what
don't
the town's
know.
gotta think of.
So,
Across the board,
anyway,
You're paying less than
It's
a grand.
easier for the town then to do it this way? Or would the people pay for their meters?
But
The residents.
That would go over. Really
well, I
expensive.
mean,
I don't know.
we in the past, on several occasions, and I think it may predate any of these
Yeah.
other members except me, and even then I was a liaison from the town council, where I was actually advocating what you're talking about, but I've been definitely talked out of it because it leads to a huge number of complications. You probably get a water bill, and we know how much water you use. Do you have a swimming pool? Do you water your lawn? If you do, then that water's not going down the sewer, so that's one of the issues. So people with swimming pools have huge water usage, but that water's not going down the sewer, okay? It's evaporating or,
Oh, so they couldn't,
yeah, so that leads to a complexity. The other complexity is there are people who have wells that use the sewer system, so they don't have water meters.
right?
So obviously they would need a water meter to meter what they're taking out of their well.
Yeah.
And those complexities kind of led us to review, the usage that the average house is using and base it on that. We recently assessed apartments. They were being assessed based on the usage of the whole development. That was, we found they were not paying anywhere near what the average single house is paying for the same amount of water usage going into the toilet and
And who was that?
apartment buildings and in
Wow.
condos, okay?
Right.
So we set a rate for them that's roughly associated with their average of all the apartments in town, so we set a rate for that. So, I mean, we've struggled with that, and there are, two sides to the issue, but that's kind of where we've ended up, that it's just too complicated. It would actually increase our costs substantially to do that. Now, how Windsor Locks manages it, obviously there are people who do that, other towns,
Right,
but that's been discussed at length.
So there's not a chance. Would it have to be a vote, a town vote?
Yeah,
It
we would
have-
make, I mean, we set the rates every year,
Right,
okay? We have a public hearing.
but
We set-
they jacked it up a lot this year. It
Yeah,
went
we
up
did,
like
we raised it
$40,
$50, mainly
35.
because of a problem we've been having with odor in the sewer
Right.
plant. We spent a lot of money, and we also got a state grant, but we still spent a lot of money on odor control. And we're hiring an engineer to redesign the odor control system. So hopefully, when we look at the rates next year, and I can't make a commitment, but hopefully they won't go up, they could even go down, okay?
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
but we're,
Because it's been a gradual increase, so I was
It's
just
gradual.
thinking,
No, I was just gonna say, the previous 2 years, we kept it at the same
we
rate.
got a
right?
$10.
Toby went on for.
415 and then 425 and then,
But 415 stayed 415 for 2 years, I think.
oh, maybe two,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, cause Toby went on,
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
Toby going on.
I
So,
think you're
so
right,
if
2
you
years.
take it over, say, the past 5 years, it's a pretty small percentage, really.
Yeah, but still though, for one person, in the house, and I'm paying the same as others
Yeah,
that have 5, 6 people in their homes,
this has
maybe
been
more.
looked at probably 3 times in the last 10 years, I would say, in depth.
Really, yeah,
Yeah.
Because it is a reoccurring
issue, yeah, I can imagine.
conversation
Yeah.
that comes up. And I mean, one of the big things is administratively, it's just Megan and I.
Hmm.
We don't, if you look at other towns or communities that do consumption-based, they'll have 4, 5, 6 people in the office, and a lot of them just focus on billing.
Yeah.
It's just Megan and I, Megan does a lot of, work on the trash side of things as well. So we're not just focused on wastewater and water
Right.
treatment. That's my primary job. Megan does primarily she does the minutes, and then also
I know. I
refuse
know.
and recycling side of
I've
things.
been there, yeah.
And,
You also have the storm sewers, right? Is that yours?
that's engineering.
Engineering, okay.
But, so from an administrative standpoint, we're much more efficient because, we
It's
know our
easier.
revenue's coming in.
It's easier, yeah,
No overhead.
yeah.
Right, and budgeting purposes, we know what revenue's gonna be, so we're more efficient in that regard for planning, capital improvement projects, cause there are,
So the chances are slim that they're gonna ever consider it, that they
it's
would.
I mean, there
It's
have
come up,
been
yeah,
real conversations, there's been focus groups within the town, and it's always come out that this is the most efficient way to do it.
yeah. It makes sense, well, I'm glad
because,
I got this.
I mean, everybody
information.
understands
Yeah.
your position,
Yeah,
the-
I know, I'm not
Nobody's
the
arguing
only
that.
one that pays that,
The other side of it is, I mean, like, it's me and my wife in a house that could handle a family of 6, okay?
yeah,
So.
Same here.
yeah, exactly.
We lived in a house and had a full family, on the same system, we were getting a break. And now that we're seniors and
Right, that's
we're
exactly
paying
where I'm
back.
at now.
We're paying back.
Yeah.
Same with property taxes, that works the same way if your kids are through school.
Yeah.
exactly, it's,
so, unfortunately, I think
Private, but that's my
we're gonna have a number of new members on this authority. So you're welcome to come talk to them,
Okay,
You can always come back.
thank
as a
you.
result of the
Yes,
recent election.
I appreciate your time.
Okay,
This was
thanks for
very
coming and talking to
interesting.
us.
some open seats if you're interested.
Yeah, yeah,
Want to
yeah.
move on? Yeah.
Yeah, like just after 45, just retired.
Oh,
I'm
congratulations.
loving it too.
All right.
Thank you very much,
All right,
everyone.
have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, item F1, collector revenue refund batch.
Yes, the collector of revenue is requesting 10 refunds, which were totaling $1,200.60. So these are overpayments. So we're looking for
All right,
approval
need a motion?
Yep,
I propose a motion to accept the collective revenues request.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? So these are excess payments, how do these result?
so my understanding is that sometimes the bank will pay it and then the property owner will pay it as well.
Mhm.
So there's an overpayment. Sometimes they're estimated by the bank or whoever's holding the mortgage, and then they'll overpay.
The escrow company, actually.
Okay. All right, no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And now we're on to discussion of 139 Lawrence Road.
Yeah, so the offer was made to Mr. Sandberg. He's not here this evening to
Mhm.
kind of give his side of things again. So I talked with the collector of revenue. We're prepared, whatever the final number was, $8,900 or something. We can make that happen. I think the total outstanding balance is just over $12,000, so he's been notified that of WPCA's offer, if payments made by May, that we'll accept the $8,900,
That's the original assessment.
the original assessment, yeah. And then we can make the numbers work because the interest has to be paid, so the collector of revenue is already aware of this, and we can make all the numbers work so that
You might want to mention, we did look at the drawings in a little more detail, and the lateral that serves his property is off of Lawrence Road, very similar to the other 2 houses on Lawrence Road that were assessed at the same time.
Yeah.
So he's really no different in terms of that. The actual physical connection is not part of the assessment, that's something he pays for, he had a deal to get it for free, whatever, in exchange for something of value, he got that lateral built, that connection built, but that's not part of the assessment, so just the fact that the lateral was put there at the same time as the other houses on that road, it's not going through Vincent Lane. It's going right down to Lawrence Road, so. Okay, any other comments or questions on that subject?
So we'll just wait and see what he decides.
He either pays it or he
He
doesn't.
doesn't, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a sweet deal. All right, now we don't have our official, we don't have an executive session and we don't have our usual adjournment person here.
oh. I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we bring this meeting to a close.
Is there a second? All in favor?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I'll try to,
You're designated now.
I'll try to live up to Toby's high
Tell Toby he
standard.
was missed.